We are resuming second policy session within 2 minutes, so please find your seat. Can somebody close the door of meeting room? Thank you, Duncan. Okay, thank you for cooperating with on time restarting. I would like to start second session of policy SIG, and we have 3 proposals in 90 minutes. So it means 30 minutes for each proposal. Then the first one is our Prop 115, which proposes registration of detailed assignment information in FUI's database. And the presenter will be Hiromi. So can come to the front.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ruri Hiromi from Intech Corporation in Japan, and my co-author is Tomohiro Fujisaki from NTT. And then, so today I give a talk about registration of detailed assignment information in FUI's DB. My main purpose for this is to understand what is the problem and how to raise a discussion about the using of FUI's DB, and any comments are welcome. So the problem statement is here. There are some cases needed to get IP address assignment information in more detail to specify user IP addresses. Without this detailed information, operators cannot filter out specific address range, and it might fall into overfiltered. So I mean by overfilter, filtering whole ISP's address range to block from the internet. So I picked 2 cases here, one for the IPv4. So let's see the case 1. For the IPv4 address allocated to the ISPX with /24, and the ISPX assigned from this /24 toward the home users with small pieces into a small pieces for shared addresses. So if someone using this IP address range and to using the attack source address, and if operator wants to block out the bad guy, there's no specific information about the bad guy, and the operator wants to block out home A, but if setting filter with /24, the other home B and home C and home D is also blocked. I think that's a problem. And this is for about IPv6. So address assignment size is unknown in IPv6. So in this case, /35 is allocated to ISPY, and the ISPY cut into the /56 to the home users. At that time, exact assignment size is not shown for home networks from any other resources in the internet. So the IPv6 address assignment size may be different from ISPs, and the operators can trouble with which is the appropriate size to filter out. And if those cases, those two cases, we have more detailed information, we can set more accurate filtering settings. So I need to share the problem cases with you all. And next part, I suggest using FreezeDB to get more detailed information about such kind of case. So, and if we can see the more detailed information in the FreezeDB, objective of policy change is lots of operators look a record when harmful behavior coming to their ISP network to identify its IP address, confirming it can be filtered or not. They can decide which address range with port information to filter. The goal is providing more specific information to support these actions. And in this part, situation in other regions, I cannot see any other RIRs having discussion about this problem and what can do in the mailing list or something in the meeting. So let me see if there is some solution at the other regions. Please let me know. So, and the proposed policy solution, this is one case using FreezeDB. I raise up the first of all problematic cases to share, and the solution is the next step. But this proposed solution is so just one case to solve them. I think there is another solution or some kind of other technology can be solved this. And to raise the discussion, I using the example of FreezeDB. So with FreezeDB, we can use remarks field to describe more detailed information here. At this case, whois DB itself has not modified. No need to be defined. No cost over there. So I described advantages and disadvantages. I picked 2 points to advantages. The one is operators can set filtering by IP address based on correct assignment information base. And if we can do this, users who share same addresses space can be avoided to be including bulk filtering. And the disadvantages, registration rule will move to more strict manner. We have set some strict rules into watching and controlling in registration of database records. And some kind of after discussion, additional record or option might be considered. And the last one is from the perspective of security point of view, some kind of privilege for withdrawing detailed information will be set for these records. And the impact on this, this might be beyond the scope of using whoisDB, so it needed to be changed policy of use, membership or guidance, or any other related documents. And along with this, members need to update their records to be more appropriate information. And sometimes the format of the description of the detailed record is advised from APRICOT. The operators can control the record as the same condition. And the consideration for this, I said again, some kind of privilege or controlling must be needed to the whoisDB. And one more point about hosting services, they needed to be a host address into the whoisDB, so that slot 32 in IPv4 and just 128 in IPv6 registration should be discussed. And before them, its operationality and possibility will be should be discussed. And but if we can do this, the harmful activities to filter by IP address are coming from hosting service as well. Here is also some demands to do this. In conclusion, here is summary of our proposal. Our proposal is detailed assignment information can be needed in whoisDB for operators. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Hiromi. So, do you have any comment or question or suggestion for this one? I think Hiromi's intention is mainly focusing on the discussion about problem statement itself. Then
Yep.
these solutions are just examples
Yes.
for better understanding about problems.
Yep.
Okay.
So I might ask you, this problem is the common problem or just myself? What do you think about?
Hello, coverage by RIPE NCC. This has been also discussed in other regions. One of the questions is, because nowadays for the WHOIS database, there is no RIR has any authorization. And then you propose maybe only this detailed information only available to operators. But when there is no authorization, how you can make sure that this information is only available to the operators? So this is one of the issues that also was brought up in other regions, including ARIN and RIPE. And one possible solution, which actually LACNIC is doing, is using RWHOIS. So at the
Using what? What can you say again?
RWHOIS. So with a referral WHOIS. So at the RIR level, you have /24 or /16 or whatever there is. That's minimum needed from the RIR side. But then from that point, you can have an optional pointer to the operator's WHOIS system, and then operator can have any more detailed information about the specific IP addresses. That can also work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, let me ask one question about WHOIS. So each operator will operate WHOIS, right? Is it right understanding?
Optionally, yes. So there can be an option that if a WHOIS query comes, RIR gives out their standard answer, and then also point out a referral. So the client will also get the additional information from the operator's WHOIS. So for example, LACNIC WHOIS basically works in that way. If you do a query for any Brazilian addresses, you get some information from LACNIC, but most goes to Brazil's NIR, for example. So there are a few possibilities like that.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, I'm János Zsakó from Hungary, and I think one of the issues is whether the operators could filter on a smaller prefix, longer prefix, in case they knew how the allocations are done. That's my understanding. They don't necessarily have to know who exactly is using that space. It would be enough for them to know that they use a /48 or a /56 or whatever. And I think this problem is kind of taken care of in the RIPE database, where you have this possibility to state the prefix size of the whole assignment. So you get an allocation, and you can specify that all that address space which you assign is allocated as /48s or as /52s. And this, according to the policies, has to be registered in the RIPE database. So in theory, you have the possibility to filter in a more granulated way than just filter out all the LIR's space.
That's why I want to do. Thank you.
Adam, David Woodgate made a comment on chat. So can somebody from APRICOT lead his comment?
Hey, so David Woodgate says, while I sympathise with the issue, the APNIC database specifies the right to use addresses. I do not believe it is intended to identify users, which seem to be the intent of this proposal. Indeed, doing so would probably breach privacy regulations in some countries.
Is it your intention? I mean, his assumption is identifying users from FUI's database. I think it's a little bit different, no?
No. I don't want to identify who uses the addresses. So I want to just to know the how size and how much port does the user give to the
And then
from the
my
ISP.
understanding about your intention is giving flexibility to operator
Yeah.
to open more information,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Alistair Johnson from Nuage Networks. I'm sympathetic to the problem statement, and having spent a long time working on CGN, understand that the problem that you're thinking about here, but I'm not sure that this is the right way to solve it. I think that our WHOIS approach might be a way to go, and maybe, you know, the proposal is if you're running CGN, then it's strongly recommended that you run an our WHOIS server to publish this. Unfortunately, though, I suspect we're going to find that most people that will have the reaction of filtering traffic are probably going to ignore whatever we publish in the databases anyway.
Okay. Is there any other comment or questions?
Hi, I'm Janina from LACNIC. What we do is when we allocate to ISP, we ask them to register which blocks they assign to their clients. That's what we do.
Okay. Seems no other comment or question about this proposal.
May I ask one question?
To the community?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Is this the right place to discuss about this problem? I can proceed in.
Yeah, let me ask that question when asking consensus about this proposal. So if there is no other comment, I would like consensus about this proposal. So Adam, can you make it current one on confirm? Maybe 3 minutes. Yeah, we need to set a timer for each proposal. Yeah, so, okay, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Noraini for Microsoft. I understand your problem. Basically, when we assign to a customers, yes, we assign that to a more specific block to a customers and put in the detailed information. Let's say we assign a /24 and there is a contact there, and when you want to block that /24, it will be very specific. But when we maintain a very large block of IP addresses, let's say /16, and when people wants to block and they're not being considerate, they just block a /16, and that's the problems here, right? So perhaps a remark in the information will make the people that want to block that /16 will be cautious and block just a /24. So I would basically like the ideas to put some cautious remarks there for the people that want to block the addresses to block a very minimum block of addresses. So yes,
Thank you.
I support your.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so I would like to ask your view about this proposal itself as a first question. So option is a strongly support, neutral, oppose, and strongly oppose. Then while we are asking the same question on confer, I would like to ask your view by showing hand as first way. So if you strongly support this proposal, please raise your hand now. Please raise nice and high. No. Please raise nice and high your hand if you strongly support. Okay. So if you support this proposal, please raise your hand now. Oh, I need to make sure on chat also. Okay, so if you are neutral or have not yet decided your view for this proposal, please raise your hand now. Okay, thank you. And if you oppose to this proposal, please raise your hand. Okay, thank you. And if you strongly oppose to this proposal, please raise your hand now. Okay, thank you. So actually, views are quite distributed. So I don't think it has reached to consensus in this meeting. So let me ask the next question, which is whether we will continue discussion about this topic in policy SIG or not. So it means if you agree with that, it means that this problem statement is maybe worth to consider in policy SIG. Okay. So Adam, can you set another question? How long does it take? Which one? Okay. So this one is already current, no? Yeah, actually, one of delegates said he cannot show his view by confer from iPad. And actually, we have some issue with iOS. So if you are using iPad or the iPhone or iPod, please switch to laptop. Sorry. Are you ready? Okay. So next question is whether we will continue discussion about this problem statement in policy SIG or not. So if you strongly support for this idea, about, continuous discussion, please raise your hand now. Okay, if you support for continuous discussion, please raise your hand now. Okay, if you are neutral, please raise your hand now. Okay, thank you. If you are opposed to continuous discussion, please raise your hand now. Okay, if you are strongly opposed to continuous discussion, please raise your hand now. Okay, so, okay, some people are opposed or strongly opposed to continuous discussion. So can I ask the reason why you are opposing to continuous discussion? I think a couple of people raised your hand. Okay, go ahead, Ski.
Steve Stevens, Ian Telliger. There just doesn't seem to be much interest in it, so why waste time talking about something there's not much interest in?
What? Can you say again?
Sorry. There just doesn't seem to be much interest in it, so why waste time and process about talking about something there's not much interest in? We're only getting 6 opinions, even in the room, and that's even on those variances, so we can go through a whole process and just go to the list and go back and waste another 45 minutes talking at the next policy SIG about it. I'm not massively opposed, I'm neutral to the proposal, just opposed to continuing talking about it, which is the question. There just doesn't seem to be any more much interest in it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I understood your comment. Is there any other comment? Okay, so I understood the point, Skeeb's point, but I think this one is pretty new concept for policy SIG. So I would like to continue discussion about this proposal in next meeting. So it means push back this proposal to mailing list. Is it okay? Okay, so anyway, thank you very much for this proposal, really. Okay, next one is a Prop 113, which proposed modification in the IPv4 eligibility criteria. And who is the presenter? After? Okay. Then this one is just updated, just revised in this morning. So we will discuss version 2 text. Okay.
Hello, everyone. The moment has arrived. So, yes, let's start the discussion. Masato, you want to ask that question again?
Sorry?
You want to ask that question again? The operators and policy?
Of course, yes.
Yeah, right, rather than in the middle of the presentation.
No. I will ask that question after your presentation. So between your presentation, so go ahead.
Okay, so let's start. This is proposal 113 version 2, which I'm co-authoring with Steve Stevens. So we updated this version yesterday, and has been updated and it's on the the mailing list. So you might have seen the updated version as well. So the problem statement is here. The current APNIC IPv4 delegation policy defines multiple criteria. And one of the criteria dictates that an organization, and I'm just reading it as it is, an organization is eligible if it is currently multi-homed with provider-based addresses or demonstrates a plan to multi-home within 1 month. That's section 3.3. The policy seems to imply that multi-homing is mandatory, even there is no use case for that. To be multi-homed, or even when there is only one upstream provider available for that particular organization. This has been created much confusion and problems for the organization to get the initial IPv4 address space. As a result, organizations have been either tempted to provide wrong information, or what they do is simply they rely on the provider-based addresses. The objective of this policy is to make sure that policy guidelines are simple, and that's why we are proposing to modify the text of section 3.3. What is happening in the other regions? ARIN, there is no multi-homing requirement. RIPE, there is no multi-homing requirement. LACNIC, applicant can either have multi-homing requirement or can be just interconnect. AFRINIC, there is no multi-homing requirement, so it's only APNIC. What we are proposing here, it says that rename the section 3.3 and say that criteria for small delegations rather than for small multi-homing. An organization is eligible if it is currently multi-homed, yes, or currently utilizing provider-based assignments of at least /24 and intends to be multi-homed, or intends to be multi-homed and advertise the prefixes within 6 months, and this is applicable on all 3 options given above. Advantages: simplifies the process of applying for V4 address space for small delegations and delays the immediate requirement for multi-homing as determined to be appropriate within the time frame as detailed in section 3.3. Disadvantages: there are no known disadvantages of this proposal. No impact on existing resource holders at all. So, yes, let the show begin.
Thank you, Aftab. And before going to the discussion, can you go back to the slides showing the revised proposed text?
Yes.
So it means applicant need to match first bullet item or second and third bullet item,
Yes.
or fourth and fifth bullet item. Is it right, leading?
First, yes, it is currently multi-homed, or second, currently utilizing ISP assignment of at least /24 and intends to be multi-homed, that is point 2. Point 3 is I'm missing something, yeah. Intends to be multi-homed and advertise the prefix within 6 months. Yeah.
Okay. So I think you don't need to change the line between second and third and fourth.
Yeah. I think
Right?
it's not here in my written text. Yeah. So
It's like a program.
yeah.
Okay. You have from Sanjaya? Okay, go ahead.
Sanjay from APNIC, who will have to implement this if this gets through. I'm still confused. So I think this is only 3 conditions, right? So number 2 and 3 is actually one line. Number
Yes,
4
you're
and
right.
5 is actually
Yes,
one line.
Absolutely.
That's easier to
absolutely
understand.
Right.
Thank you.
Absolutely right.
Thank you.
Okay. Izumi.
Izumi from JPNIC. So I also want to reconfirm if I
Izumi,
understand this,
can you just
this proposal correctly. So the idea is to not make it a must to be multi-homed. So there are alternative criteria that allows organizations to apply for this provider independent address space, correct?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm against this proposal. And the reason is that if we look a little bit back into why we came up with this final /8 proposal. The idea initially was that since we're out of V4 address space, we're not going to be able to accommodate everybody, but at least we need to have some way to allow new ISPs and people joining the businesses to have the minimum set of address space to provide the service. And then afterwards, I think it was also agreed that maybe we should also allow for special cases where there are technical requirements to need portable assignments such as multi-homing, IXPs, and things like this. But this is stretching things even more. And I think this criteria will start allowing customers of ISPs to receive V4 address space. I note and understand there are such needs, but we really have to acknowledge the fact already run out of V4, and those people who are in need, there are other mechanisms such as IPv4 transfers, and if we utilize this space for those end sites of each of these customers of ISPs, we're not going to have enough address space for those people who we initially intended to distribute from this space. We need to prioritize who we should allow this address space. So that's why I'm against this proposal. Thanks.
Okay, yeah. So, Steve, you want to answer that?
Yeah.
I need to respond to Izumi first before, sorry, Ajay,
No,
if you can give
yeah,
me.
go ahead.
Okay. You have absolutely right point. You have raised the right point, Izumi. If you can recall, when we proposed that policy, that what will happen to the recovered address space, right? And I was the only one against it, that we shouldn't be giving it to the existing members, right? And it should remain for the new members only. And I was the only one. We were okay with that, providing the more V4 address space to the existing members and only leaving the last /8 for the new entrants, right? And now what we are doing, we are saying that no, you have to be multi-homed. Second point, what is stopping the end site from getting the V4 space today? Nothing. They'll come up with the fake information and they'll get the V4 address space. That's it. There is no way you can stop them from doing it. If there is any way, I would like Secretariat to please share that information. Yes. Thank you, Ajay.
So, Izumi, you have any further comment? Oh, another. I'd like to resolve that point first. Is it okay, Skip and AJ?
Yes.
So, Izumi, come to the mic.
I understood your intention, and then in that case, I think I support the intention itself. So why are we making it an or? Shouldn't we make it and requirement if we want to ensure that people who really are meeting those criteria are applying? So instead of making it or, I think we should make it and.
Which part?
So it is currently multi-homed and currently using provider assignment, and then also below as well, because it seems to be loosening up the criteria against your intention, because people would have choices whether to apply under multi-homed or apply under this needs-based. So I think all these, there shouldn't be any and or ors as a part of this proposal.
Okay. Okay. I have a lot of use cases against that. So, Chair, can I, because it's getting one-to-one and people are on waiting. So I'll respond to that. I've just noted it down. I'll just respond to that, yeah. So, Ajay. Yeah. Okay, AJ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I am not wearing the head of an IR in India. It's my view. So, and I am also a chapter administrator of ISOC India Delhi chapter. So, as the principal of ISOC Internet Society, we should be allowing internet for all. Internet should be for all. So here I support this proposal as a personal capacity, because as per the current policy, if any organization want to take the IPv4 addresses, ISPs are not giving due to scarcity of IPv4 address exhaustion. So they are not getting from the RIR or NIR. So they are reserving those IP addresses for smaller customers who need 18, 16, or 32, or less than 256 IPv4 addresses. So the plus point I see here, that the ISPs can give internet for many customers if that customer get IPv4 address from RIR or NIR, if this proposal is approved. Other point is that I agree with Aftab that as per the current policy, even I am happy with one service provider. For fulfilling that requirement, I have to liaise with the second service provider and get the information AS number, or take from public available database and give to the RIR or NIR. Only for fulfilling that requirement, those organizations need this information. Sometime RIR or NIR postmaster can check and get that information is not correct. Then again, that organization may give some other information, false information. So I support this proposal for the sake of it, because we should be giving internet for all. Thank you.
Okay, Steve.
So with the greatest respect to Azumi-san, she seems to have made some.
Steve, your affiliate.
Sorry.
Can you mention about your affiliate?
Okay, sorry. Skip Stevens, Ian Telego Networks.
Thank you.
So with respect to Azumi-san, she seems to have made a statement which doesn't seem to exist anywhere in the philosophy of resource allocation here, in that resources should only be put for network service providers, and where we should be rationing the run-out address space to providers only. At the moment, in the regions that I'm working in the countries that I'm working in, because the run-out's happening and things are getting tight for a lot of ISPs, one of the standard default things now is if the customer needs to even have, even if they're single-homed, but even needs to have more than a certain amount of a space, the costs that some of the service providers are charging for that, it's far easier to send them straight to APRICOT. Actually, my advice to a lot of the operators that I work with at the moment, when a customer comes and says, if they need, 24, 72 addresses or whatever they need, my response to them is, don't take it out of your own it's very scarce resource. Even if you charge them $1,000 a month, that's irrelevant. It's still going to run you down too quickly when the businesses are requiring those kinds of resources. So send them to APRICOT, where they are absolutely and fully entitled to be a member and get address space. And there is absolutely nothing that restricts any small business or anyone becoming a member of APRICOT and being entitled to up to the /22 or the current policy that is available. And to suggest that that space should only be available for service providers or operators seems to be way, way outside any current discussion or policy at the moment. Is that what you meant? Because if 50,000 businesses want to go and become APRICOT members, there is nothing anywhere that restricts them doing that.
Yeah, I just want to clarify a little bit. Yes.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
I don't mean to say that we should restrict in terms of the idea of resource management, but I'm just explaining the initial intention was this. And if there are technical criteria for people to receive direct portable assignments, surely, but we really need to prioritize who do we assign those address space, because we only have /8 available, and we can't, in reality, we can't distribute V4 address space to every single customers, right? So there needs to be a certain set of criteria, which is if N sites wants address space, then the current criteria is to be multi-home, because they need a portable address space independent from providers. So that sort of makes sense. But so Skiv, do you think that we can really distribute IPv4 address space to all the customers, all the N sites?
Absolutely.
But it's finite, so we can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
And we really, so if we actually ensure that a certain amount of address space will be available to providers, that would actually ensure that customers under those providers would be able to receive V4. And we really still need to also think of long-term way of how do we do this, not really relying on just V4, but is it realistic that we should allow customers under those ISPs? Because we really cannot, in reality, accommodate every single customers under all ISPs. So I'm just like trying to.
I completely agree with you, but you're suggesting another policy. I'm talking about this policy in the current state that the system is. And in the current state that the system is, these are valid use cases for companies to get online. If you want to propose another policy that we restrict new members to only to operators, then that's nothing to do with this policy. That's a new policy that you put up that says APRICOT should restrict who can become a new member.
Okay.
That's a different thing entirely. My view on that, I mean, I agree. It is finite. We are going to run out. If 100,000 companies want to join and take /22s, it's gone. And I share your concerns. But how is that valid at all under the current system? You're suggesting an entirely separate policy to do that. We can't wrap around inside this policy. We're talking about a massive change here of now who is eligible to even become an APRICOT member. That's what you're saying.
I think it seems Gaurav have a comment about the same point, right?
Yeah, this is Gaurav Padar from Limelight Networks. First thing is somebody fix that, because it's too confusing. If it's going to be on the screen as an agenda, then somebody needs to fix that on the screen, because I mean, it's been there for almost 10 minutes and nobody seems to fix it.
Then let me.
The second question there is, does this replace the entire 3.3?
Yes.
Because in 3.3, there is a second paragraph, and let me read that. It says, organizations requesting a delegation under these terms must demonstrate that they are able to use 25% of the requested address immediately and 50% within 1 year. Is your intention to get rid of that?
Yes.
Then I don't support this policy, because it takes out the whole demonstrated need requirement for address space. I am sympathetic to the position about taking or discussing the multi-homing requirement. You know, people need address space, but they need to demonstrate need. If there is no demonstrated need, then I am against this policy.
But multi-homing is demonstrated need.
No, it is
It's not?
No.
Provider independent multi-homing is not demonstrated need.
Provider home, I can get an
That's
address
the whole
space.
purpose of it.
No, I can get an address space and announce it. That is multi-homing. It doesn't mean that I use it. I have a /22 from grandfather space, and you know it is announced, but it's not in use. And I'm telling you, I have an example of that space, right? So announcing in BGP for me does not equate that you actually need to use it. So if you are going to get rid of the second paragraph, then I'm completely against this policy. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people here would agree with me. But if the question is about semantics on the first paragraph, on taking out the multi-homing requirement, I think I'm more sympathetic to this, and I would probably agree to some form of language there, which basically gets rid of the multi-homing requirement.
But then we go back to the original, one of the original problem statements. is people are just going to lie about their consumption because there is absolutely no follow-up or checking, and you and APRICOT or nobody at all will be able to identify beyond the announcement that it's actually being used in any way.
Sorry,
I would
guys,
ask other people
guys.
to, you know, I've made my position, so let
One
the
second.
community speak up.
I'm gonna give
So
a
we just
chance
go back to putting
other
up
people.
fake data in.
Skip. I'm gonna give a chance to other people to make a
Yes.
comment. So, interrupting. And also, we already spent 25 minutes for this proposal, but still we have more than 8 people in front of the mic. So let me close microphone within 5 seconds. So please come to the microphone if you have any further comment. Is okay? Mic is closing. Mic is closed. Okay. So who's next? Actually, now I cannot remember who's next. Go ahead.
Mike Jager, representing myself. So I have a question. In fact, I have a few questions and a few points. One of my questions is, I wonder whether the authors of the proposal read section 3.1 in the policy that they want to change, which I'll quote now. To be eligible, an LIR must have used a /24 from their upstream provider or demonstrate an immediate need for a /24, which seems to match one of their points up there. Have complied with the applicable policies in managing all address space previously delegated to it, including historical delegations, and demonstrate a detailed plan for use of a /23 within a year. Nowhere in there is a requirement for multi-homing that address space. Second point was, the reason, as I understand it, section 3.3 exists in the first place is that the minimum delegation under section 3.1 used to be much, much bigger than the /24 that it is today. So under 3.1, there was no requirement to multi-home. You could be a provider with 1 million customers, get a /16 or /12 or something, and never multi-home. And the reason that 3.3 existed in the first place was to provide provider-independent space for customers who could never justify the minimum allocation, which was at one point that I remember a /19, but did have a genuine requirement to multi-home. It seems to me that 3.1 and 3.3 don't both need to exist anymore, but the solution this proposal is proposing, I think is handled by 3.1. I'm not quite sure what the point of this is to do, other than to remove the needs-based allocation.
May I interrupt before you suggest second point? 3.1 is for an LIR specifically, and 3.3 is for any customer.
Right, so an LIR is defined as is generally an internet service provider and may assign address space to its own network infrastructure and to users of its network services. LIR customers may be other downstream ISPs which further assign address space to their own customers.
Yes. And we are talking about
yeah, there's a lot of may in there, not
yes.
must be or is.
Yes.
I'm pretty confident that there will be enterprise customers that have justified address space under 3.1 today. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong about that.
Secretariat, please.
Okay, Izumi.
So, Izumi Kitani again. So I do want to clarify, I didn't really mean to say we should only restrict to the distribution to ISPs. Maybe it was just a word I worded and it just led to some misunderstanding. So.
No, I'm not saying to you. I'm saying to you. It's okay, go ahead.
Okay. I guess what I want to say is, since that we can't distribute address space to everybody, we should actually set certain set of criteria that allows people who to, I don't know, that we can't distribute to everybody, so set criteria that would distribute address space to those who would be needing space for further delegation or technical needs for portable assignments. And that's why I feel a little bit uncomfortable with what's being suggested, that it may actually end up distributing to any end sites. And so just as a clarification, but I guess I'll stop here because I seem to be repeating my arguments.
George Odaji from APRICOT. Earlier, David Woodgate asked on chat if a customer is unable to receive provider-allocated addresses from ISPs, perhaps because of the ISP's exhaustion policies, should that customer be able to receive addresses from APNIC and under section 3.1 or 3.3? He also says, to Izumi's point, it's only for customers who truly require large address blocks, example /24s.
Thank you. Kenny? Daniel, what's the
Quang Liang from APNIC. Just to clarify that 3.1 and 3.3, right, from APNIC Secretary, to answer the questions. Actually, current APNIC policy is limited to some small organizations who only need a /24, but not multi-homing, to require IPv4 delegation from APNIC. Because if they want to require under 3.1 criteria for initial LIR delegation, they need to demonstrate a detailed plan to use of a /23 within a year, right? And if they require under 3.3 criteria for small multi-homing delegations, they need to currently multi-homed with provider-based address or demonstrates a plan to multi-home within 1 month. But if as organization only need a /24, so they not qualify for 3.1, but they're not going to multi-home, so they can also qualify for 3.3. That is the problem. Should we allow those small organizations only need a /24 to get IP address directly from APNIC? Probably this is the point for the discussion. Yeah, that's what 3.1 and 3.3 in the policy at the moment.
Okay, Gonglin, may I ask one thing? So there is no differentiation between an an ISP, an operator, and an end site and an organization between 3.1 and 3.3?
Yes, there's a definition is different. But if you can demonstrate you need that amount of the IP address, like you need a /23 or /22, and you probably be able to qualify under that LIR. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
And
my name is Shiva Upadhyay, and my personal views on this is, firstly, I would like to understand the thing that we have so many criterias and eligibilities, but the thing is that we don't have any policy right now in place. By using that policy, we can take resources back from the customers who are not using them or just holding those resources with them. If we implement this policy, I personally support this policy because it will open the market for the new entrepreneurs and new small organizations who want to launch their businesses. But the thing is that firstly we have to look after the things which we are not notifying right now. Likewise, what I have as a help desk engineer when in the start of my career, like so many requests, people call me and try to request for 10 or 15 resources. When I asked to provide me their likewise resource plan, likewise we are only allowed to, I try to convey them, we are only allowed to give you /24. And if you want resources 20 or 30, you can go to the ISPs to take that small. We only allowed to give 24. So at that time, they start saying, yeah, we can make a plan. That is the thing, what is happening, actually. We can make a plan, we can give you documents. You just can provide us a /24 block. They have requirement only, they have requirement only of a small 30 or 35 IP addresses. But the thing is that they are capable of providing wrong information. That thing we have to look see on a serious note. That I would like to suggest here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kenny.
Yeah, Kenny Huang. Basically, 114 and 113 and 114 are addressing the same situation. So probably we can save some time for later 114. And back to this proposal, basically the other IR all using the same, I think the same criterion as you mentioned. So I don't, without any other issue concern from the other IR, so I don't think APNIC should be the exceptional one. So in short, I support this proposal. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Good morning, Bertrand Chaillet from Noumea, New Caledonia. I think we should just remove the multi-home requirement and instead add another requirement to the second part of the 3.3, which is to use IPv6 as well. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Ajay, my personal view, I support the view of Gaurav that we should be giving the resources based on the justification. I agree for removing the multi-home criteria, but changing the without justification, I don't support it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Oh,
One last.
can you pay to 100 blocks to APNIC if you want to make a comment? I'm joking. Go ahead.
I actually question to Kenny. I mean, he said that other RIRs don't do it. I don't think any of the RIRs have taken out the need demonstration requirement. They have taken out the, yeah, they have taken out the multi-homing requirement, but none of them have taken out the demonstration of need as a requirement. So I don't know if you still support the proposal. Thank you. Just clarifying that other RIRs have taken out the multi-homing requirement, but demonstrated need is still required, right?
No.
Or, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Hello, Andrea Cimon, RIPE NCC. There is no demonstrated need anymore in the RIPE region, but only LIRs can receive IPv4 address space. So it's 1/22 per LIR, and there's no demonstrated need. They must confirm, though, that they will make assignments out of the space, but yeah, no demonstrated need as it used to be with the time limitation.
And in LACNIC, I think we'd like to hear from them.
Einer Boland, policy analyst at ARIN. There's no multi-homing requirement for end users.
And demonstrated need?
There is, you do need to demonstrate need.
Time-based?
I'm sorry?
Time-based? 3 months, 6
yes,
months?
Yeah. Like
how much percentage you have to use?
In 50% in 3 months, I think, is the basic requirement.
Okay.
Okay. How about LACNIC?
In LACNIC, for end users, they have to be multi-home and they have to show, justify the use.
Okay, thank you very much. Final comment, Dean.
Dean Pemberton from Internet NZ. Basically backing up the comments from Gaurav that the removal of the needs-based allocation here is the largest concern with this policy. I'd like to see the policy, return to the mailing list at the very least, so that we can appreciate that. We've already seen here today that that point wasn't fully appreciated. So yeah, I strongly oppose the proposal as written and suggest that at the very least it be returned to the mailing list, if not dropped entirely. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I would like to ask your view about this proposal. So as we did in previous proposal, first way is showing by hand. So if you strongly support for this proposal, please raise your hand now. Okay, so if you support this proposal, please raise your hand now. Raise your hand nice and high. Okay, so if you are neutral, please raise your hand now. So if you oppose to this proposal, please raise your hand now. Okay. So if you strongly oppose to this proposal, please raise your hand now. Okay. Thank you. So main view is maybe opposed to this proposal as written, but I think nobody against to relaxing criteria so somehow. So I would like to push back this proposal to mailing list. Is it okay for everybody? Okay, so, but anyway, thank you very much for proposing this proposal after I'm going to skip. Thank you very much. And next one will be your Prop 114, but I would like to ask a question about your affiliate or daily job, because there is some discussion about which time slot is good to policy session. And actually, I asked the same question in first session, so I'd like to compare these out in this session. So option is whether you are working for network operator or number resources organization or law in APNIC region, or number resources work in other regions. Okay, 3 options. You don't need to show your hands if you don't match to anything. Anyway, so if you are working for network operator, please raise your hand now. And let me count it. Oh, I'm 2. Okay, so its result is 12. And if you're working for number resources somehow in APNIC region, please raise your hand now. Hey, I'm also asking to APNIC staff in this question. Yeah. Okay, thank you. It's roughly 28. So if you're working for number resource work in other regions, please raise your hand now. Okay, thank you. Actually, not so. Which one? Both. Okay. Anyway, it's actually not so big difference, but I will share this number on the list later. Okay, so let's go to Prop 114, which proposed modification in the ASN eligibility criteria. Is a data scheme or? I know, but we also have 3 items in the third session. So let me still, but okay, this session will end, is scheduled to end at the 12:30. So we still have 20 minutes. And let me steal another 20 minutes for your lunchtime. So it means 40 minutes to this presentation. Sorry, to this proposal.
Hello everybody, Aftab Siddiqui, and I'm back again. So if you were not thoroughly entertained, so let me bring you another proposal, that is 114 and version 2. Modification in the ASN eligibility criteria. The current ASN assignment the problem statement is quite close to what we discussed a moment ago. Policy states 2 eligibility criteria and that both criteria should be fulfilled in order to obtain an ASN. The policy seems to imply that both requirement, that is multi-homing, and clearly defined single routing policy must be met simultaneously. This has created much confusion in writing the policy. As a result, organizations have either provided incorrect information or got the ASN or barred themselves from applying, where they still have a valid justification. Objective is to simplify the policy and provide alternate criteria in obtaining the ASN. Situation in other regions, RN, it is not mandatory but optional to be multi-homed in order to get ASN. in RIPE region, policy to remove multi-homing requirement is currently in discussion, and the current phase ends 12. Yeah, it is awaiting chair decision last I checked. LACNIC only interconnect is mandatory, not multi-homing. APRICOT, it is mandatory to be multi-homed in order to get ASN. Proposed policy solution: an organization is eligible for an assignment, ASN assignment, if they are currently multi-homed or meet one of the other criteria in the guidelines managed by the APRICOT Secretariat. So these are the guidelines we are proposing. The intention is to multi-home in the future. The applicant is participating in Elastic Fabric, where the requirement to connect to on-demand service provider may require ASN, BGP connectivity. Regional limitation of obtaining multi-homing connectivity in the immediate term, but want to design their network for this capability. Have a single unique routing policy different to their upstream, but yet are single-homed. Advantages: by adding the additional criteria of guidelines managed by APRICOT Secretariat. This would enable the Secretariat to make decisions based on the common or rare use cases, but that may still be valid a request. Disadvantages may be perceived that this policy would enable members to obtain ASNs more easily and in turn cause faster consumption of ASNs in the region. Given the relative ease of obtaining an ASN with workaround methods, we do not perceive this will actually have any effect. No impact on the existing resource holders. And that's it. Let me just take you back to the proposed guidelines. Yes.
Thank you. So, is there any comment or question for this proposal? I don't think there is no comment. So let me clarify a couple of points. I think the difference between previous version and this version is criteria are different, and also this part is took out from policy to guideline, right?
Yeah, actually what we did previously, we wanted to, like, the first version was very, I would say it was simple, but to many people it was vague. It was not defining any criteria. So what we wanted to do is add some the couple of these points in the policy, but then on the mailing list, people suggested that these are the corner cases, and to address the corner cases, it is not required them to be added in the policy, rather than APRICOT Secretariat consider them on case-to-case basis. So that's why we are suggesting these guidelines for the APRICOT Secretariat, which APRICOT Secretariat maintains as a numbered document. So they can use them to address those corner cases. So the multi-homing requirement remains as it is in the policy guideline, but other criteria will be addressed by the Secretariat.
Hi, my name is Tomohiro Fujisaki from NTT, and just one clarification question. I saw another proposed text on the mailing list, and I think it looks very reasonable. So just a question, what's the relationship between this
is the same
and the proposed text on the list?
Which one you mean?
Yeah, actually, yeah, on the mailing list, another text was proposed by this, sorry, not from the proposer, but from the other guys, and currently under discussion on the.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. So, do you have answer?
This is the same proposal we are talking about on the mailing list. Am I missing something?
But I think Tomohiro is talking about another discussion is ongoing on the list.
Yes, yes. Maybe Owen proposed another text.
Oh, but he's not the author.
Yes, yes. Okay, so that we have to discuss this text. Is it right?
Yes, I think.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, of course, you can say comment about. Okay. Anyway, so Izumi, go ahead.
Izumi Okutani, thank you very much, AFTA, for bringing this issue and also being really collaborative and coordinating and hearing the input. So I feel comfortable that what's being discussed on the mailing list and with others who are here on site is really well reflected in what you're proposing, and so I'm quite comfortable with what's being proposed. Thanks.
Thank you. This is Gaurav Upadhyay from Limelight Networks. I support the premise of this proposal, that it is, increasingly big carriers don't like their customers to have their own ASN and a whole bunch of issues. So I actually support the basic idea behind this, that operators should be able to get an ASN when they are already qualified IP address block from APNIC. I have a slight reservation on how this policy is written. I mean, we've gone over this on the mailing list. I would not prefer to defer this thing to a guideline, because that's another recipe for, more confusion. Make it very simple, put it in the policy so that it's clear cut for everyone. I mean, that is semantics. We could discuss it on the mailing list. I don't think all of this should be put on the policy either.
Yeah.
Right? So, most of these are completely related with each other. But it could be as simple as if somebody has a PI allocation or a PA allocation. I don't know if we even distinguish those anymore from APNIC. They would qualify for an AS number. If the prefix is visible or if it is initial allocation or whatever. So, yeah, in principle, I support this idea, but, I have a bit reservation on how this is worded and put in policy. I would prefer it be a really clean, one-line, simple policy document, so that there is no such things as interpretation by the Secretariat, or, somebody can come and claim and, put the Secretariat under pressure to, and the Secretariat doesn't run a network. That is a big problem for me, because they might not be aware of operational reasons. And, I can go and tell the hostmaster, you don't run a network, I run a network, I know better. I don't want them to be in that situation, judgment on a network about which they don't know anything about, right? So I would prefer this be streamlined, simple proposal, so that the hostmasters who are evaluating the request have to, have network expertise in them to do it. Thank you. But yeah, I support the idea behind this proposal. Thank you.
Yeah, Skip, after, do you have a comment?
Yeah, so Steve Stevens, Intelligent Networks. So we started that way, but people were, it becomes more vague and everything, and so we thought that we would come up with the guidelines, and the key reason for that is that the internet's changing rapidly, and the way people are doing business is changing rapidly, and the last thing we really want to do is go back to changing policy and go through this each time there is a bit of a fringe use case. And just similar to the IPv6 subsequent allocation policy, where essentially the applicant, if they've got something that they think fits, and they can, and the Secretariat can ask for further information, just like when you're asking for subsequent AS numbers, they will ask you why, and you just got to explain why your use case makes sense to them. And I realise this puts those decisions into the Secretariat, but I would prefer them to have a bit of leeway for shifting business requirements or operator ways of doing businesses, fabrics, peerings, the different kind of things that are happening, as opposed to etching in stone very specific things or very non-specific things which can be interpreted in many ways, just like we've got with the previous policy in 3.1 and 3.3, and hang on, what's that mean, and who, hang on, which one am I under, what's an LAR, and everything, you know, is debatable on where you fall, and we're arguing about the word may or is, and it just seems to get a bit silly if you're going to etch things in stone which are also not very clear. And I mean, yes, Garab, I would love this to be much simpler, which is where Aftab and I started. But when we went that way, we got told we weren't specific enough. And so we decided to try and consolidate, rather than putting each different one of these examples on the screen. We thought maybe it would be better as a numbered document. But I mean, there seems to be a bit of opposition to letting the Secretariat to actually make intelligence decisions, which I'm a little bit against. I kind of trust them a bit, but I'm not sure why other people don't, especially in cases like this. We are talking about AS numbers. There are over 4.1 billion still available. I mean, I'm not into wastage, as I said on the mailing list, but I do think there's a little bit of concern over nothing. And if suddenly 300,000 AS numbers got allocated in the next year, I'm pretty sure we could deal with it in Indonesia or something at the next policy meeting if it turned out to be a major problem. I'm pretty sure that the Secretary will be able to give us some reports and say, guys, something went bad here, but I'm pretty sure things wouldn't get out of control that fast. We do meet often enough.
Izumi?
Izumi Okutani, I'm very much in line with what Steve has expressed at the moment. And so if the proposed text said that either multi-homed or leave the decision to the Secretariat without any specific examples, yes, it's a little bit vague. But it seems to be listing all these examples that has been raised and discussed on the mailing list so far. So it seems to give some guidance on what are the cases that we can actually allow, even if they're not multi-homed. So it seems to be a pragmatic way of addressing it. But at the bottom line, I don't have very strong preference about the formatting. And what I'd like to confirm is whether this really works with the APNIC hostmasters. I mean, does it give you enough guidance on how you would be evaluating such cases and requests? So if anybody from APNIC will be able to comment on this.
Yeah, Guang Liang from APNIC. Yeah, if you give, I think I just checked the policy that 0.9 in the AS number policy, there's an additional guideline. If you want to claim, you can claim. But that need to be like consult with the community. If we want to create a guideline, probably we have a job at least, and also discuss in the mailing list. Not only APRICOT hostmaster probably decide what it should be in the guideline or not.
But let me say a comment about that. I think big difference between policy and guideline is policy should be changed through PDP. So it cannot be changed without consensus in the community, but guideline can be changed by the Secretariat. Okay, so if we think these criteria should be discussed in the community, it should be written as the policy. Then, or if we think we don't need to discuss these criteria in the community, it can be written as guideline. As we did, okay, let's remember the discussion about sparse allocation mechanism. At that time, the conclusion was that implementation mechanisms, so we don't need to discuss in the community. So it became the guideline, not the policy. I think we should have same discussion about this point also. Okay.
Yes, I think the policy and guideline is different. The guideline can be changed from time to time easily by the secretary and also consult with the committee, I guess. But the policy have to be go through this PDP very formally. right? Yeah.
Okay, Sanjay.
Just the guideline, when we say it's a numbered document, if it's changed, it goes up to 1 month's comment period publicly. So that's the difference. So it's pretty streamlined. If we want to change the guideline, we will put it up for comments for a month. If there's no comment, then the new guideline is in place.
But that's just comment period, not the discussion. So regarding the policy, we have already we had a PDP, which is already defined.
Yes. So what I'm saying, I'm just people understand to choose whether when they want to choose to put this in the policy or in the guideline. I'm just differentiating those two.
Got it. Thanks.
Dean Pemberton, Internet NZ. I agree with Tomohiro-san and Gorab. The point I think Tomohiro was making was, there is proposed text on the list from Owen about tying this to initial PI allocation. I would be far closer to supporting that text than here. And another one of my concerns here is, along with Gorab, I don't think that the mechanism around this is very well defined, as we're seeing by the fact that we're having the conversations that we've just had. So yeah, while I can support the intent of this proposal, I don't think we're quite here yet. So as written here, I oppose the proposal, but I would support it returning to the mailing list so that we can look at incorporating some of the wording that's come up very recently, the wording that I would look to support. Tomohiro's indicated that he would look to support, and so that we can get a little bit more clarification around guidelines versus policy. It's just, I think if we tried to change it and write policy on the floor, that would go against kind of what we've always done. So yeah, I think return to the mailing list for this one, and we'll flesh it out. And yeah, and the intent I can understand. Thank you.
Yep.
I'm not sure we can find good solution during the lunchtime, but is somebody sure?
Yep. I mean, we have written policy from the floor multiple times and done things like that. And I think that over lunch we might be able to look at it. Yes, there was proposed text from Owen, but I replied to that, but there's been no reply because it seemed to apply for a first ASN only. And I'm like, well, what's the difference between first or subsequent ASN? So there's still discussion there. But this is a matter of philosophy of whether the Secretariat should have some flexibility, and I don't know. I think it's up to this is going to be up to the community whether they decide whether they trust the Secretariat to have some and work within some guidelines. I mean, as Sanjay said, that there is a comment period at which any point if one of these guideline points, and we just wrote this in 5 minutes as just based on some of the example use cases. There could be another 20, or we could find out one of these is bad. But there's no reason for anyone in the discussion to go, this one's not working, have a 1 month comment period and remove it, or come up with a couple of other use cases which are valid and then comment period and put them in. As like it's very easy for Dean and others to say, oh, let's just send it back to the mailing list. But that's another 6 month plus implementation delay on anything happening just for some convenience. Till we've already had over 200 emails about this. And we've tried to address a lot of the concerns. So let's just go back and go through this whole process again. And based on pretty much every other meeting of APNIC, 2 days after the end of this meeting, no one's going to say anything for 5 months anyway. Sorry, I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. And we're going to go back to the exact same situation where we discuss it for a couple of weeks before the conference again.
Skip. We can say the same thing to other proposals also.
I'm just saying that I mean, I would like the
I think
opportunity.
that is fair.
Yes, Masato, I would like the opportunity to, if we can figure out some of the text, to re-put that up after lunch, and I'm not
Got
really
it.
concerned about timeframes, okay?
Got it. So, also, I think there is some discussion about whether we will, whether this proposal will be applied to 2x AS also or not. Then in this session, there is no comment about that. Does somebody have comment or view about that point also?
There's none left. There's only like 100. Do we have to care?
No, I'm just asking.
Yeah, I mean, we actually did talk about it, but then we asked APNIC how many were left, and they were like 100. And I believe you've had how many requests for AS2s in the last 6 months? Like 4 or something like that. So I didn't, sorry.
Guang Liang from APNIC. According to the policy now, there's no difference between 2x and 4x AS number. We allocate 4x AS number by default, but if a member have technical reason, they need to change to a 2x, it's still available at the moment. But we only have about 140 2x AS number in our fee pool now. It is still possible, probably at the time, but may not able to do it for the change to 2x for later in the year or next year. Yeah, this is the situation.
But has there been many requests for 2x?
Most of them is 4x. Nearly 60 to 70% is 4x at the moment.
Okay, thank you. So I'd like to postpone asking consensus to the beginning of next session. So please, I hope you will find good solution for this proposal during the lunch. So we will restart this session from 2 p.m. in here. So please enjoy your lunch. Thank you.